It should be live any second. And there we go. Hello, everybody. This is Chris, and this is my channel, Bar911970. And as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I'm not going to make this video still too long because I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to give an update and a thank you to everybody. It is currently 4:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2nd of March, 2017. And the funny part is after I made that video the other day, giving the explanation of what happened to me, I kind of went into a little bit of a relapse for the rest of the night. And it wasn't as bad as it was earlier that morning, but it was basically torture. I mean, literally, I would not want to wish this on my worst enemy, and I basically just slept it off. So right after, like about 20 minutes after I made finished making the video, till the next day, I just slept. But I wanted to let people know that I am probably 85% better already. The fevers are completely gone. I can actually move around the house now, which was the scariest part when I was at my lowest the other day, when it first really hit me hard. When I was in bed, I was literally in the fetal position, unable to move. I did not have the strength to even turn over. So even though my cell phone was literally within arm's reach, I couldn't even grab it. So the fact that I'm already walking around is amazing. And this is one of the reasons why I promote things like sun gazing. And I know there are going to be people out there that you just say those words, they're automatically going to think it's crazy and everything, and that's fine. Those people you can't help, and I'm not going to convince people who are closed-minded, who won't even research. Now, sun gazing is not bulletproof. In other words, you don't go sun gazing and all of a sudden you'll never have a disease. You could get shot in the head and you'll survive. No, it's not anything like that. My recovery time is amazing since I've done it, and I have not sun gazed since 2012. And when it gets warmer again, I am going back to doing it. Now, you're going to get people who are going to say, oh, you'll go blind, you'll hurt your eyes. And these are people who will never research things. So you can go to plenty of websites that teach how to do this properly. And it's like anything, you have to do them properly. So it's not going to stop you. It may stop a lot of times from being sick, because from the 2 years that I did sun gaze, I literally did not get sick once. And I'm a person that's susceptible to lung problems. I have since I was a baby. So even though I have not sun gazed since 2012, I've noticed that, especially when I'm eating crap food, which every now and then I do, which, the more things like this happen, the more it realizes that even if you have a craving, I guess you just got to kind of dismiss them and eat a lot healthier. And living with a vegan wife definitely helps. But what it does is it absolutely speeds up my recovery time. I mean, if this would have been me 10 years ago, I would still be in the hospital with a breathing, pure oxygen mask in the hospital, getting blood tests and getting 10,000 different medications and tests. So the fact that I literally went from thinking I was going to die, I mean, I was at the point where I was barely even breathing and wanted to just give up, to now I'm walking around the house, the fever's gone. I still have some of the fluid in my lungs, and this is all from being stupid enough to try a dollar store ravioli. So, lesson learned. And I don't mind, because I saw some people made some insults, and that's fine. It's the internet. This is what some people do to entertain themselves. But the reason that I even mention it is, if anything, it could teach people that this garbage food that they are giving us is not what they claim it to be. And if I had to sacrifice a few times of getting sick and possibly having that kind of situation happen, and it prevents somebody else from going down that path, then I'm proud of it. And I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd do it again, because it was not exactly a fun experience, but the fact that I can recover so quickly, I can absolutely say, is a result, in my opinion, of the sun gazing I did over 5 years ago. And that's going to make me start doing it again. So like I said, there are going to be some people that no matter what you say, no matter what information you could send them, they're not going to believe anything, and they're going to be set in their old ways, and that's fine. Let them do that. I've had many people do sun gazing and do it properly, and it comes out fine. Every now and then you'll get a person saying, "Oh yeah, I tried it and I went blind." I'm like, okay, then how are you typing? It's just that's what the internet is. But if anything, it's really changed my perspective. Going from the point of literally thinking that you could just stop breathing and everything will be fine and you're just not going to be on this earth anymore, to knowing that I wasn't ready to give up, it just kind of changed my perspective on things in a positive way. That the little things that used to bother me are not really affecting me as it once did. And that to me is one of the lessons I can teach on my channel. Now, I could be like most of these truther channels where they just go to some other website and just regurgitate what somebody else did the effort and typed out on a website and just, regurgitate it. To me, that's not information. That's just, repeating what somebody else did. My channel, at least now, is all about trying to help people learn from my own life lessons, to think for themselves, to question things. So my channel now, I think, is more inspirational, and there are a lot of people that appreciate that, and that's something some of the negative people will never understand, and that's fine. I mean, negative people are going to stay negative, but I wanted to thank the dozens of people that sent me the most amazing comments and messages of support, and I just want to say that I've read every single one of them. I mean, if there were some new ones today, I haven't had the opportunity to read it yet because as soon as I came on this computer and I wanted to put this up, so before I even read any comments. But if I could teach anything, that through my experiences, that stay away from garbage food. There's a reason why it's cheap. And unfortunately, with more and more people struggling financially because of this Ponzi scheme that for some reason we allow to continue, some people don't have a choice. And, when I was younger, I could eat McDonald's and fast food and Wendy's, Burger King, all those places. I literally, because at the time, I was a lead singer of a band, karaoke DJ, had band practice 2 nights a week, performed at gigs. I was constantly on the go. I was literally eating fast food 2 to 3 times a day, every single day, before I was married for over a decade or two. So you can eat that garbage for a long time when you're younger and it won't affect you. Because whatever they put in the foods to keep it preserved, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's not meant to kill you, although people can die from these things. It's meant to gradually make you sick. Because how can they make money off of a bunch of people that are no longer here and they're no longer productive? But if when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, when you're starting to be less and less productive for their, use, that's when you start feeling the effects. So if anything, it strengthens the fact of eating naturally, eating better, staying away from this garbage. The fact that, like, a couple of weeks ago, I made videos of cravings that I had, and literally each day after these cravings, I got sick. My lungs filled with fluid shows that my body is no longer used to the garbage that they serve to people. And we feed this to our families. Because, like I said, sometimes we have no choice. And this is why I want to try and teach people that just because things are maybe not, walking dead scenarios, doesn't mean we should wait until it gets to that point before we do something. The reason this garbage food is out there is because we seem to be okay with allowing it. And the financial system is a Ponzi scheme that makes only few people extremely wealthy, while it takes away the financial ability of people every single day, where the majority of people on this planet are poor and struggling. Some people going paycheck to paycheck, just making enough to survive if they're lucky. Why do you think there's so many billions of dollars of credit card debt? Because people get to the point where they no longer can have a savings account and they have to use credit to buy groceries, to pay for bills. And that debt makes it worse and worse with the interest that we have to pay. So, to me, I don't mind showing my vulnerable side of things that have happened to me. there are going to be some people say I do it for publicity or some other ridiculous thing. And, there are some people, I could come up with a cure for cancer and they would say it was just some selfish ploy to get publicity. But I don't mind putting it out there to show that I am not here to just put up a fancy display to say all the things you want to hear, to make chop up videos and take things out of context. I think one of the reasons why I was an easy target for so long is I talk to my subscribers, not at them. And I see so many channels, and especially when they get bigger and bigger, they tend to change. And then they just talk at people. And then they try and please everybody. And that to me is not being genuine. So especially if you've watched my channel for a while, I may have progressed and reached different levels in this experiment we call life. But I would like to think that I've pretty much stayed the same person as day one as I am now. And I think a lot of people out there appreciate that, and a few people hate me for that. All I could say to those people who make those judgments is I hope whatever is making you angry to the point where you refuse to look up things or research deeper or just not be able to change your mind, I hope you find a better way. Because in this world of division, if we do not start working together and seeing each other as fellow human beings, we're never going to progress as a species. We cannot preach, tolerance when we're not tolerating everybody. You cannot say we want tolerance unless you don't agree with our way, because then that's not tolerance. And so many people, the reason evil, like they say, evil thrives when good men and women do nothing. And that's why this is happening the way it is. And maybe it's a learning lesson that so many people were so afraid to stand up. So many people were afraid to speak out. So many people were afraid to rock the boat that we allowed it to get to the point where even this radical left side of supposed tolerance don't even tolerate people on their own side anymore. I mean, you've seen these women's marches where if you were a woman that believed in pro-life, you were not allowed, and you were probably made fun of and attacked at these women's marches. So how is that unity? How is that tolerance? And I think we have to take responsibility for everything that we do. The reason crap food is out there that's poisoning people and hurting people and making them sick or making them fat or making them depressed or making them addicted is because we stopped complaining. I will never buy from a dollar store again. As ridiculous as it sounded, I was there. I was in the mood for raviolis. I saw them. I was like, shit, for $1, why not? Never. Excuse me. But I will never do it again. And I learned that crap literally almost killed me. Lesson learned. So it's okay, because I've said so many times on my channel that if you can take something positive out of a negativity, then it happened for a reason, and that's a good thing. And Emperor Palpatine, I love the name, says, what happened with the dollar store ravioli? If you watch the video I made the other day, it literally almost killed me. So if you watch that other video, it will explain it. I'm not going to go into full detail here. And I'm going to be ending this video a little quick because my lungs are still filled with fluid. Everything else is pretty much gone at this point, but the more I talk, the more it's starting to hurt. But like I said, I really think that my sun gazing that I stopped doing 5 years ago is the reason why my health recovers so quickly. I mean, I literally went from dying to recovery in a day or two. So, the video's title is My Near-Death Experience. I mean, just go to my playlist, just go to my videos, go to the videos and see the most recent, and you'll see it right there. It'll explain the situation. And it was pretty bad. But my main thing is I want to thank those that come here for the right reasons, that listen to what I have to say, who care. Because I will never tell you how to think, how to live. I will give my examples. But I will always say that trust your own instincts. Question things. Lose the fear. I mean, I've talked about things that so many people worried about. Oh, you'll get shot, you'll get killed, you'll disappear. Well, I'm still here because I'm not afraid of being the truth, showing the truth. These people that you want to believe that are in power and control are basically 60 to 80-year-old men. What are they going to do? They want you to live in fear. That's how they get away with it. They want you to do nothing so they can continue to do things. There is story after story about how most politicians, or potentially most politicians, could in fact be pedophiles. Now, that's a very serious thing, and if that's the case, every day we choose to not investigate it, every day we choose to be silent, every time we choose to be complacent, is another day somebody's child is gone. And if we investigate it and find out that story is 100% BS, well, then we no longer have to worry about it anymore. But they want you to focus on fighting amongst each other. We can choose to do that, because that's what I've always said about free will. You can choose to do several things with free will, and that's the right thing, the wrong thing, or nothing. But there are always reactions and consequences to your actions and inactions. And the time of being silent, the time of being complacent, the time of being scared, the time of being nonstop angry has to be over if we want a better world. Because like they say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And governments don't want people to do things for themselves because they cannot profit off of you if you are doing things on your own. They want people to sit at home and wait every end of each month for a handout that gives you just enough fake currency to continually put us in further debt and just be able to afford the bare necessities of the garbage that they provide and allow us to have. Is that a privilege? Why do we accept their scraps when we could be so much more? Why do we let the few control us, the many, when they're flying around in their Lear jets and having their private meetings and doing things that change the world? They talk about global warming, which is total BS in my opinion. Whether you believe it or not, I'm not here to preach that. But let's say it is true, and they talk about all the toxins and chemicals and things that have polluted and damaged the ozone layer. Do you think your next door neighbor is cooking some kind of barbecue that's changing the ozone layer? Or do you think it's the corporations with all their smokestacks and all the cars they created over the decades that emitted all this garbage? And the nuclear power plants like Fukushima that is still leaking toxic radioactive poison into the water. And they want to blame us. Who created all this stuff? Who allowed it to continue? Who's allowing it to continue? But they'll tax us on it. They'll make us pay for their stupidity. They're the ones destroying the planet. Did any of us spill massive quantities of oil in the Gulf of Mexico a few years back? Or was that a oil corporation? And yet they love to blame us, and we seem to be okay with it. We're their whipping boys and girls. But they want us to fight over who gets to use what bathroom. Because in the end, that's what's most important. Not feeding your family, not being able to breathe clean air or drink clean water or eat clean food. We really want to focus on what bathroom somebody can use. Because that takes the anger and the frustration away from them and focuses it on another human being that is probably suffering just as well as you are. And you could have a different skin color. You can have a different religious belief. You can have a different sexual preference, but you're still a human being. Why can't we see that? So Emperor Palpatine, if you want to take credit for spilling oil in a lake, congratulations. So, I'm not even going to focus on it. Whatever. Enjoy your entertaining of something that's serious. But that's part of the problem. Until we take this seriously, they're going to continue to have oil spills that are going to pollute the water, pollute our oceans. They're going to continue to have nuclear power plants that could have devastation to the point where it could destroy the fish, destroy the water, destroy the air, because it's leaking into the all over the world. We can ignore things like chemtrails. We could ignore that they have weather modification to the point where they have the UN resolution, I think it's 31/72, that was made back in the 70s, saying that you could not use weather modification as a war tactic. So back in the 70s, they made a UN resolution that prohibited weather manipulation as a form of war, and yet no one wants to believe it's possible. And people, and like Kaleem just said, ignorance is bliss. Yeah, but it's not. Because if I put poison in your drink and you didn't know about it and you drank it, is that going to save you? Is your ignorance of the fact that somebody put poison in your drink going to save you just because you didn't know it wasn't there? So that's another term that they want to teach you. Ignorance is not bliss. Or you should say, ignorance is bliss for whom? Because if you're the person that put the poison in the drink, it's going to be blissful for you that they don't know about it. So that's why I always say, focus on the words. So yeah, ignorance is bliss, but not for you. Make yourself think better. If we choose to ignore this, if we choose to focus hatred on others, other fellow human beings that are struggling probably just as much as you are, and we choose out of fear to not rock the boat because we're making just enough to get by, there's going to come a day where you will be affected. Think of families after World War II up until now. Other than great phones and computers to distract us and keep us entertained, has life gotten better for people? We're more divisive than I can ever remember. We're full of hatred and jealousy and anger. People are more overweight. There are more birth defects. What cures have? What illnesses have they cured in the past 20, 30 years? They sure take billions of dollars from people and make you think, we're going to have the next whatever telethon. We're going to take all this money and we're going to cure something. What have they cured? But they'll keep taking our money with the promise of what if. And we have politicians every 4 years promising you the world. What's changed? Are we closer to a utopia or further away? Are there more birth defects or less birth defects? How long do we allow this to happen? Does it have to wait until it affects each individual person before they react? Because by that point, it's too late. That's why I talk about the things, my experiences, even though they might be misconstrued by a few minority of angry people. Because I don't mind making a mistake. It's making that mistake again is where it's a problem. So I bought that day $10 worth of those dollar raviolis. I had my wife throw out the rest of the packages because I would never put myself through that again. We need to do something, or we need to do nothing and just worry about the consequences. That's up to everybody. I'm trying to do my part to get people to think differently. And obviously, I'm not going to get a lot of views. I'm not going to have people take me seriously because I'm not wearing a suit and tie. I'm not making some elaborate video with a whole bunch of pretty things for you to be distracted at. Because I want to talk to you real, from me to you, talking to you, not at you. And those people need to be entertained. They need to be distracted. And I wouldn't insult any of your intelligence by saying, here's a puppet show. Hopefully it's entertaining you. I'm going to talk real to those who can care about it. And from the responses I got the other night on my last video, the comments, and just read them over and over, positive, loving, caring messages. I want to thank you for that. They don't go unnoticed. And I'm going to end this video right now. And I want to thank you all. Just make sure, like I said, think for yourself. Lose the fear. Fear is taught. When you were a baby, you could have been put into a pool filled with snakes and tarantulas. And you would have probably tried to pet them because the furriness of the tarantulas would have made you want to grab them and smile. The only reason you learn fear is because people teach you about it. Hatred. If you were a white baby and you were placed next to a black baby, do you think they'd want to fight each other? If you had an American baby next to a Russian baby, do you think they wanted to murder each other? If you had a baby that would have grown up to be straight and a baby that would have grown up to be completely gay, do you think they'd hate one another? If you had a baby that was born in a Christian family and another baby that was born under a Muslim family, do you think they'd want to kill each other? No. It's because we're taught these things. That's what divide and conquer is all about. How many channels and how many politicians are making you hate Russia? How many of you have gone to Russia and had a problem with them? So why do we hate them? We hate them because we're told to hate them. I don't hate anybody I don't know or don't have an experience with. Why should I? That's ignorance. But yet the media, with its propaganda and its agenda, are drilling into your heads and everybody out there that Russia is the enemy. Well, last time I checked, Russia has approximately 2 military bases outside of their own country. I could be mistaken by 1 or 2. We have approximately around 138 all over the world. So who do you think's the aggressor? What about Palestine, who has its land taken from Israel, taking it from them all the time, where they're surrounded, and no matter what happens, the media won't talk about what's happening to Palestine? What about them? What about all these feminists that talk about women's equal rights, but yet they don't care about what happens to women in the Middle East, where they could be stoned to death for cheating on their husband? There are still countries that have those kind of situations allowed. Now, is it an everyday occurrence? I don't know. I've never been there. But where's their marches for those people? Their excuse is always, well, that's not part of my community. That's being hypocritical. It's either peace and love and unity for all or for none. So don't say you want tolerance if you're not tolerable to all people. Don't say you want unity if you're going to push other people out. Don't say you want love if you have anger in your heart and hatred towards someone else, just because they may look different, act different, think different, or say different things. This should be a no-brainer. And to those who it is a no-brainer to, obviously the ones that get it. The media is controlled. I've been saying this for years, and I was mocked for years, called a paranoid tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. I'm still called that to this day, just not as much, because more and more people see a lot of things I was warning people about back in 2011 and 2012, even though back then I didn't know as much as I know now, are ending up being accurate. Change the world for the better, or don't complain about it. Because if you're not willing to take any kind of responsibility, whether it's spending the day talking to a neighbor or a friend, or doing something positive, if you're not willing to do anything, then how do you have the right to complain? And I've spent years being attacked, being insulted, being humiliated, taking my integrity in question, made fun of. People were making up stories that people would believe, and it never stopped me from speaking what I felt is my truth, that many people seem to resonate with. And that's including when YouTube tries to block my videos from getting out there, and people can't thumb up the videos, and they can't share them, or the videos don't work, or my live shows get cut off. Despite all that, I will not give up, because I believe what I'm doing is right, despite the negativity. It's called sacrifice, people. And if you're not willing to sacrifice something, one day you will sacrifice everything, and it won't be because you wanted to. Do we want that day? I sure don't. So again, my usual, just want to talk a little bit, goes into another rant. I got to get going because I'm starting to feel a little congested. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I did want to say that I am feeling so much better. I definitely am not ready to give up. I'm glad the experience, excuse me, that I had happened, and really start looking into sun gazing and doing it properly. Because, there are some people that think, oh, Chris got sick, so I guess the sun gazing doesn't really work. It doesn't work that way. You don't all sun gaze, and then all of a sudden you get shot in the head, and the sun gazing will have saved you. No, that's just being ignorant and stupid. But some people like to do that because they'll have other people pat them on the back and say, great job. To me, that's the real insecurity. So to those of you who left the kind messages, for those of you that were supportive, and those of you who do care, I thank you, and it means a lot to me. So instead of just responding to people on comments and type words, I wanted to say personally, thank you to everybody. So I hope you all have a great day. Think for yourself, stand up for what you believe in, never be afraid to question anything. Get some gold and silver, which, by the way, had a nice little dip today. So silver and gold on sale. Get it while you can, because it ain't going to stay that way. Get out of banks. Get out of debt. Cut up your credit cards, at least the majority of them. Stop helping their system, and stop allowing criminals to continue to be criminals. Because one day they'll steal from you. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered.